Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to the weekly Bhagavad Gita class. We'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्रा सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are continuing the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So this 11th chapter is Vishwarup Darshan Yoga. Krishna is displaying the universal form in front of Arjuna. So we are in the middle section of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 chapters predominantly they are discussing about the Karma Yoga. So in the first 6 chapters we have seen the initial doubts of Arjuna, and to refute or answer the doubts of Arjuna, the Supreme Lord gave a description of different kinds of yogic methods like Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. And finally, at the end of 6 chapters, the Supreme Lord mentioned that out of all these different yogis, Bhakti Yogi is the topmost. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmanah shraddhavan bhajate yomam samay yukta tamomata. And then from chapter 7 to 12, this middle 6 chapters elaborately speak about bhakti. So here we have seen different concepts like Krishna's energies, how Krishna is pervading the entire universe in 7th chapter. We have seen about why impersonalism and demigod worship, they are not proper way to worship the Supreme Lord. Also, the Supreme Lord mentioned about the supremacy of devotional service and glories of pure devotional service. In the 8th chapter, we have seen the importance of remembering Krishna at the time of death. And that is only possible if we are practicing Krishna consciousness throughout our life. Then we have also seen the superiority of bhakti in 8th chapter also. Vedeshu jagyeshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punna phalam pradishtam atyeti tatsarvamadam viditva yogi paramsthanam upayati chadyam. The last verse of 8th chapter says that the study of the Vedas, doing yagya, doing austerities and sacrifices, charities, everything, all the benefits you get if you do devotional service. Then in the 9th chapter, pure devotional service is further glorified, and distinction of pure devotional service from other processes like demigod worship and karma kanda. So uh, that description is there, how bhakti yoga is topmost. And at the end of 9th chapter, Krishna also mentions that what is the important process of bhakti yoga, how to perform bhakti yoga. So Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madjaji mam namaskuru mam evaishasi yuktaivam atmanam mat parayana. So Manmana, always think of me, become my devotee, offer your obeisances unto me, and worship me. These are the four things Krishna wants us to do. And that's the definition of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada also says these four things are called Krishna consciousness. And whatever program Srila Prabhupada has given us is basically doing these four things. Then in the 10th chapter, Arjuna asks about the opulences of Krishna. So Krishna describes theoretically all the different opulences and how Krishna is pervading the entire universe. Then in chapter 11, Arjuna wanted to see that form visually. In the 10th chapter, Arjuna has heard theoretically how Krishna is pervading the entire universe. But in the 11th chapter, Arjuna wants to see that form of Krishna, which includes everything, which is all pervading. That is the Vishwarup. So this is not because Arjuna, even in this point, Arjuna is having a doubt that Krishna is Supreme Lord. It's not like that. Arjuna is thoroughly convinced about the supremacy of Krishna. But for the upcoming generation, people in Kali Yuga, so that they do not have any doubt over Krishna's supremacy, therefore Arjuna requested Krishna to display this universal form. So Krishna describes the universal form. Then Arjuna's eyes were upgraded to see the universal form. Then we also discussed that if we think Arjuna to be a representative of normal living entities, then his eyes were upgraded. If we think Arjuna as an eternal associate of the Supreme Lord, then his eyes were degraded. So by Dibya Chakshu, Arjuna sees the universal form. Then Arjuna is stunned for a moment. Arjuna is not able to speak by seeing the form of the universal form. Then Sanjaya starts describing. When Arjuna is stunned, then Sanjaya is describing what Arjuna is saying. Then after that, Arjuna started also describing the universal form. Aneka bahu udaravakta netram pashyami tam sarvato anantarupam. So Arjuna is able to see many heads, many hands, many legs, many weapons bedecked with jewel, gold, and different ornaments. Arjuna is able to see the entire 14 planetary system within that universal form. Arjuna is able to see the past, present, future, three Kal in that universal form. Arjuna is seeing Kamalasana Brahma. Arjuna is seeing Shivji in that universal form. So it's a collection of all the demigods and the entire space-time concentrated in one form. That's the universal form. And by seeing that form, Arjuna is very disturbed. Arjuna also seeing the Kala Roop of the Supreme Lord, where Karala, Damstra, there are different faces of Krishna which are ferocious and emanating fire from the mouth. And all the Kaurava armies and Pandava armies are entering those faces of Krishna. That is the Kala Rupa, Krishna as destroyer of everything. So by seeing this Vishwarupa and Kala Rupa, Arjuna is very disturbed and frightened. Then finally, Arjuna started offering prayers. Arjuna is requesting Krishna, please come back to your original form. I'm not able to tolerate this form anymore. And Arjuna is also asking forgiveness from Krishna, that I have misbehaved with you, Krishna, not knowing your glories. Please forgive me. Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam, he Krishna, he Yadava, he Shakheti. Ajanata mahimanam tavedam, maya pramadat pranayena vapi. Yacchavaha sarthamasatkritoshi biharashayya bhojaneshu. Ekotha vapyachyuta tatsamaksham tatshamaye tvamahamaprameyam. So Arjuna is asking forgiveness. Oh Krishna, I have considered you as my Sakha. And therefore jokingly I have sometimes called you, oh Krishna, oh Jadava, not knowing your glories, not knowing you are the Supreme Lord. So please forgive me for all those offenses. Sometimes I have joked with you personally, and sometimes I have joked in front of publicly. So please forgive me for all those offenses. I did not understand your glories. So this ends the section Arjuna's prayers. We discussed till this point. So today we will discuss the last section of this chapter, 47 to 55, prerequisite of pure bhakti. So because these middle 6 chapters, the prominent theme is bhakti. So everything the description of the opulences of the absolute or the description of the universal form ultimately culminates in bhakti. Okay, so let's start from verse number 47. Yeah, so 46. Oh, universal form, 1000-armed form. I wish to see your 4-armed form. Yes. So Arjuna is requesting Krishna that return to your original form. And Arjuna also wanted to see the Chaturhuj form actually. Chaturhuj Vishnu form. Arjuna has already seen Krishna in two-handed form. Arjuna has seen Krishna in the 1000-handed form, which is the universal form. And now the Supreme Lord mercifully gave darshan of the Chaturhuj form also. So the Supreme Lord showed Arjuna all the different forms possible. Now the Supreme Lord is telling from verse number 47. Shri Bhagavan Uvacham Maya Prasanyena Tavarjunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat Tejo Mayam Vishwamanantamadyam Janme Tvadanyena Nadrishta Purvam. The Supreme Person of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you my internal potency, the supreme universal form within this material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. So the Supreme Lord is telling, the darshan I gave you just now of the universal form is very unique. And nobody in this entire universe has seen this form before. You are the first personality before whom I have manifested this universal form in complete detail. Previously also Krishna manifested one kind of universal form to Duryodhan. But even after that, Duryodhan could not understand the glories of the Supreme Lord. Duryodhan was thinking that Krishna is showing some kind of magic. And this is the nature of the demoniac people. There are two kinds of people, Sura and Asura. The Asura people, even if the Supreme Lord displays his Aishwarya, they are not able to understand the supremacy of Krishna. Just like Duryodhan could not understand that Krishna is Supreme Lord. If Duryodhan was intelligent, he could immediately understand that, oh, this Krishna has shown me the universal form. That means Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And if the Supreme Lord is on behalf of the Pandavas, what is the point of fighting? If we start the Kurukshetra war, definitely we are going to be destroyed. So, but Duryodhan could not understand this because he was a demoniac person. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu could not identify Nishingadev. When Nishingadev appeared in front of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu thought that this is some animal, some half lion and half man animal. And I can defeat this animal easily. I am very powerful. So, for the demoniac people, even if the Supreme Lord is standing in front of them, they will not be able to recognize the Supreme Lord and they will start fighting with the Supreme Lord. On the other hand, we see Arjuna immediately could understand the glories of the Supreme Lord and surrendering unto Krishna. That is the mood of a devotee. Okay, so the Supreme Lord said that I have shown you this unique form which nobody has seen before. The Supreme Lord continues, Naveda yagya dhayaner nadaner nacha kriyavir natapo virugraim evam rupa sakya aham nirloke drashtum tvadanye na kuru pravira. Oh, waste of the Kuru warriors. So Arjuna, the whole dynasty of Pandavas and Kauravas is called the Kuru dynasty. So therefore Arjuna is also inside Kuru dynasty, not like only the Kauravas can be called Kuru. No one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in this material world. So although Krishna has showed this universal form to Duryodhan, that was not the complete manifestation. The form Arjuna is seeing is very unique and nobody has seen that before. And Krishna is telling that you cannot achieve the qualification to see the universal form by any kind of austerity, sacrifices, charity, and pious activities. This is completely by Krishna's mercy. It's completely Krishna's decision. If Krishna is pleased upon some devotee, Krishna will manifest this form. So therefore, Krishna is called Swarat. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam says, it gives the definition of the absolute truth. And it says, Janmadyasya jatanvayaditarataschaartheshvabhigyaswarat tene brahmaridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat suraya tejo varimedam jatha vinimayo yatra trishargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param. So the first line says, Janmadyasya jatanvayaditaratascha artheshu abhigyaswarat. So this phrase Swarat means Krishna is supremely independent. You cannot force Krishna to do anything. Krishna can be understood by devotional service. We know that from scriptures. But you cannot force Krishna. That Krishna, I have chanted 1 crore rounds, so therefore you must come in front of me. No. Krishna cannot be forced. Even if you keep on chanting for millions and trillions of lifetimes, it's completely Krishna's decision whether Krishna will reveal himself in front of you or not. So therefore, not by any sacrifices, charity, pious activities, and severe penances, you can see this universal form. Because Arjuna was a very dear devotee, and Arjuna pleased the Supreme Lord by his behavior and devotion. Therefore, being pleased upon Arjuna, Krishna is showing this form. Okay. Then Krishna continues. So here we are seeing the glories of devotional service. That Arjuna could see this form because Arjuna was a pure devotee of Krishna. Right? So this is the last section where the glories of pure devotional service are mentioned. Mate vyatha ma cha vimooda bhavo drishtva rupam ghoramidrinmamedam vyapeta viprita manah punastvam tadeva me rupamidam prapasya. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Krishna knows that very well. And Krishna even knew it before Arjuna requested. That Arjuna is requesting me to see the universal form. But when I will display the universal form, Arjuna will not be able to tolerate. Krishna knows everything, past, present, future. So now let it be finished. Krishna is finishing the darshan of Vishwarup, and Krishna will return back to original form. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. I will revoke this form and be free from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. Okay, so Arjuna wanted to see the Chaturbhuj form now, because Chaturbhuj form is the Vishnu form, is very Somya, is way better than the Vishwarup. Vishwarup is ghastly. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfather and master. But Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrupt Draupadi in the assembly of Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent. And for such negligence of duty, they should be killed. So they should be punished. So there is, Arjuna should not lament. It is Arjuna's duty to kill them. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people are already killed for their unlawful action, because they have done something wrong and the proper punishment is death. So Krishna has already decided that they will be dying in this battlefield, whether Arjuna fights or not. Krishna's decision will be executed. And if we align with Krishna's desire, we get the credit. Otherwise, we will be blasphemed. So Krishna already decided that all these people, miscreants, and who neglected their duty, they will be killed, who are joining the Kaurava party and standing with Adharma. They will be killed. It is Krishna's decision. So it must happen. Now Krishna is requesting Arjuna that Nimitta Matram Bhavashabhya Shachi. Become my instrument, Arjuna. If you become my instrument, then you become glorious. Otherwise, what will happen? That because it was Krishna's decision to kill them, they will be killed. But people will criticize Arjuna, that Arjuna being a Kshatriya, Arjuna did not do a Kshatriya duty. And Arjuna was neglectful of his Kshatriya duty. And thus Arjuna will be blasphemed. So whatever the Supreme Lord has decided, that is going to happen. And we need to align with the will of the Supreme Lord. Then our life is smooth. Otherwise, we will face many sufferings. Okay. That scene was shown to Arjuna. Arjuna could see in the Vishwarup that all these Bhishma, Drona, and other Kaurava armies and some of the Pandava armies are also going into the Kalarup faces of the Supreme Lord. Because devotees are always peaceful, they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of revelation of the universal form was shown. Now Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form, and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. So the Vishwarup is a display of Krishna's opulences. But a devotee wants to serve Krishna, wants to have a personal connection, personal relationship with Krishna. So you cannot have any personal relationship with Vishwarup. You cannot serve him. You can just pray, offer prayers in awe and reverence. That's it. To serve and to establish a personal relationship, we need the forms like Vishnu 400 form, or Krishna's form in Golok Vrindavan, or Ramachandra's form. So in these forms, you can establish a relationship with the Supreme Lord. And a devotee is interested in that. Either a devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings, or he wants to see the two-handed uh, Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the four-handed Vishnu form, devotee can worship and offer respectful, worshipful feelings. In the two-handed form, Krishna, a devotee can lovingly reciprocate with the Lord. But with Vishwarup, this is not possible. You cannot even offer respectful, worshipful feelings, and you cannot even, because it is too ghastly, you cannot worship. The mood of deity worship will not come. It will come for Vishnu. And loving devotional service is possible with Krishna. So therefore, Arjuna, being a devotee, wanted to see the four-handed form. Because why Arjuna is trying to see the four-handed form? Because already by the display of Vishwarup, Arjuna's Sakhya Rasa failed to Dasya Rasa. Arjuna was previously, before the display of Vishwarup, Arjuna was serving Krishna, the two-handed form, as a Sakha or friend. But after the display of the Vishwarup, Arjuna's Rasa or Arjuna's relationship, devotional mellow, got down to the Dasya Rasa. And because Arjuna was in Dasya, Arjuna wanted to have darshan of the Vishnu form. Because in the form of Vishnu, devotees are in mood of Dasya. They are trying to offer their service and worship to the Supreme Lord. Krishna is much more playful, and devotees can have more intimate relationship with Krishna, like Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. But Narayan or Vishnu is known for Dasya Rasa. Okay, so this is how the Supreme Lord told Arjuna that I will come back to this Narayan form so that you can become peaceful. Now Sanjay is telling, Sanjaya Uvacham. So Sanjay is explaining this to Dhritarashtra, right? Because the whole scene in Kurukshetra war is being narrated by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya Uvacham Ityarjunam Vasudevastathoktva Swakam Rupam Darshayam Ashabhuyam Ashwasayamasa Chavitamenam Bhutva Puna Somya Vapur Mahatma. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his four-armed form, Narayan form, and at last showed his two-armed form. Then Krishna came back to the original form, two-armed form. So Krishna first gave the darshan of Vishwarup, then Krishna gave the darshan of Narayan form, four-handed, then Krishna returned to his two-handed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Because Krishna wants to see Arjuna as a friend. Although Arjuna's devotional mellow got down to Dasya, Krishna wants to see Arjuna again in the Sakhya Roop. So therefore, he again returned to this two-handed form. By seeing the two-handed form, Arjuna will be instigated and the Sakhya Bhav will be invoked. Now Arjuna is telling, Arjuna Uvacham Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam Tava Saumyam Janardana Idanim Asmi Sambritta Sacheta Prakritim Gatam. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardhan, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. So Arjuna is now very, very peaceful seeing this human-like form of Krishna. Here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Person of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four-handed Narayana form? So here we can see Krishna is displaying the universal form first on the request of Arjuna. Then on the request of Arjuna again displayed the four-handed form. But then Krishna came back to the original form. So it says that the two-handed form of Krishna is actually the original form of Krishna. And all other forms are Krishna's expansions and Krishna manifests them. So if we go to the Goloka chart, in Golok Vrindavan, Krishna is there in this form, two-handed form. Okay. And then Krishna manifests the four-handed form in Vaikuntha as Narayan, the four-handed form with Lakshmi Devi. Then in material world, there is a representation of Narayan as Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is also four-handed. Then Mahavishnu enters each of these universes as Garvadokashai Vishnu. Garvadokashai Vishnu is also four-handed. But this whole universe, this whole cosmic manifestation has a personified form, and that form is Vishwarup. And that Vishwarup is thousand-armed form. Okay. So although Krishna is manifesting different forms in different locations, the original form of Krishna is coming from Golok Vrindavan, and that is two-handed form. If you see this chart, Lord Krishna's divine forms, here we can see that, the original form of Krishna is as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan, that is Swayam Rupa. Then comes Swayam Prakash, his own expansions. There are two types of Prakash, Prabhava Prakash and Vaibhava Prakash. We will not go into the details. So Vaibhava Prakash is Balaram. From him comes Tadekatma Rupa, then Vilasa and Prabhava Vilasa. Then manifests the four-handed forms from these Vilasa expansions. And these are Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, which is Adi Chaturvyuha. Then comes Vaibhava Vilas. Lord Narayan is also four-handed form. Then comes Dvitiya Chaturvyuha, again Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And from them, different other forms of Krishna manifest. Then comes the Swamsa incarnations, Purusha avatars. So this is how different forms are manifested. Okay. And finally, when we get down to Garvadokashai Vishnu, this Garvadokashai Vishnu is four-handed. But when Garvadokashai Vishnu takes up the universal form, he is thousand-armed. So the point is, Krishna's original form is two-handed. Sometimes people think that sometimes people tend to think that God is a creation of human mind. Human mind has created God. And because humans are two-handed, they have created God also in two-handed form. And some people say that if dogs were to create their own God, they would think their God to be like dog. But this theory is not correct. Actually, Krishna originally is two-handed. And we are Krishna's reflection. Therefore, we are two-handed. It's not the case that we are two-handed and we came by randomly by some chemical reaction and we are two-handed and we imagined some God who is two-handed. This is not the correct theory. And in the initial seminars like Science of Self-Realization, we have discussed the refutation of chemical evolution theory and all the scientific matters. So here we see that Krishna's Golok Vrindavan form as a cowherd boy, two-handed form, is the original form. Yes. So it is very clearly stated in Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is ordinary person and who misguides the reader by claiming that it is impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. There are some commentators of Bhagavad Gita who say that actually Krishna was not speaking Gita to Arjuna. There was some hidden Brahma Jyoti Paramatma inside Krishna who is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So it is a great offense, and it means that we are deriding the spiritual form of Krishna. We do not accept the spiritual form of Krishna. We think that Krishna is originally impersonal, a light, formless. And now Krishna has taken a material form like human, and Krishna is speaking the Gita. But this material form is temporary, and actually some Brahmajyoti, impersonal Brahman within Krishna is speaking the Gita. This is a bogus philosophy. If we read Bhagavad Gita carefully, Krishna himself refutes this point in 7.24. Krishna says, Abhyaktam vyaktim apannam mannate ma mabuddhaya param bhavam ajananto mama vayam anuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before. That means these unintelligent people tend to think that Krishna is originally impersonal, and now I have assumed a personality, a temporary material form. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So actually, the fact is Krishna's form, Krishna's two-handed form is a Satchidananda form, permanent form. It is not a material or temporary form. And in that form, Satchidananda form, Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita. It's not like some impersonal Brahman within Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita by taking up a material body. So we must be very, very careful. This philosophy which says that Krishna was originally impersonal and now Krishna has assumed a form, this is called Mayavad. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned us to hear any Mayavad commentary. Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunila Hai Sarvanas. If you hear the Mayavadi explanation, your bhakti will be destroyed. And he also says that Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi. This Mayavadi is an offender unto the lotus feet of Krishna, because this Mayavadi is deriding the supreme spiritual Satchidananda form of the Supreme Lord. So you should be very, very careful about this Mayavad. Krishna has actually shown his universal form, his four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Misguiding commentaries means Mayavadi commentaries. Because he knows what is what. The original verses of Gita are clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from the foolish commentators like Mayavadis. Okay. So just if you see the Sanskrit, Avyaktam Vyaktim Apannam. Avyaktam, some Avyakta impersonal form, Vyaktim Apannam has taken a personal form. Manyate, Manyate means this is thought by Mam Abuddhaya. Abuddhaya means those people who do not have intelligence. They Manyate means they think that Krishna was some Abhyakta before, and then Vyaktim Apannam, Krishna has taken some form. So Krishna says, Param Bhavam Ajananto, my Param Bhava, Ajananto, they do not know. Jana means, Janati means knowing. Ajananto means they do not know what? My Param Bhava, my supreme nature, my Satchidananda form, they do not know. Mam Avyayam Anu Uttamam. So Mama Avyayam Anuttamam, my imperishable and finest supreme form, they do not know. So this is very clear. The meaning is very clear. And Krishna himself is telling that we should be careful of this Mayavadi commentators. Then Krishna continues, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sudurdasham idam rupam dishtavan asiyan mama devapyasya rupasya nittam darshana kankshinaha. The Supreme Person of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. This is very disturbing and ghastly. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. So even the demigods could not see this form, because Krishna already mentioned, not by any austerities, penances, sacrifices, you can see this form. So while Krishna was displaying this form to Arjuna, Krishna was also merciful to show this form to the demigods, because they are waiting in queue for a long time to see this universal form. But just like Arjuna, after seeing the universal form, the demigods were also perturbed. So finally, Krishna came back to original form. Naham vedirna tapasha nadanena na jajaya sakyameva vido drashtom drashtava nasimam yatham. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So, for seeing the Vishwarup also, uh, you cannot attain the qualification by studying Vedas, doing austerity penances. Then, what to speak of seeing the original form of Krishna, the Golok Vrindavan form? Okay. So, Vishwarup is a material form within the material world. Higher than Vishwarup is the Narayan form. And higher than Narayan form is the two-handed Shyamsundar form. And Arjuna was already seeing that Shyamsundar form. So just imagine the qualification of Arjuna. Arjuna was already seeing the supreme form. So therefore, Krishna is telling that also, that even uh, it is not by these means that one can see me as I am. One can see me as I am means Krishna's original form. That is also not able to, you cannot see that form by studying the Vedas or any other sacrifices and penances. If Krishna is pleased upon you, Krishna will give you a ticket to Golok Vrindavan, and then you can be able to see that form. Bhakta tu yananyan shakya ahameva vidorjuna yatum drashtum cha tatvena pravishtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am. So this is the essence of this section. So to understand Krishna as he is, to see the original form of Krishna, what is the requirement? Undivided devotional service. Bhaktya. Srila Prabhupada is not making up bhakti. Some people complain. Srila Prabhupada is always telling bhakti, bhakti. No. Krishna is using the word bhaktya. Bhakti is the original word in Tritiya. Tritiya Vibhakti, it becomes bhaktya. A little knowledge of Sanskrit will enable you to understand that how perfect Srila Prabhupada's translation is. Only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Krishna is very mysterious, it is very difficult to understand. But the devotees can unlock that mystery, and up to a great extent, they can understand Krishna, which is not possible for people in general or the non devotees. And now, this is the last verse of this section. Mat karma krin mat paramo mad bhakta shangavarjita nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yasama meti pandava. Pandava means Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities. Fruitive activities means that I am not doing devotional service of Krishna and at the same time I want some return from Krishna. That Krishna, I am doing this bhakti, please give me this. I want my material desires to be fulfilled in return of bhakti. Then that's not bhakti, that's business. And Krishna is not liking it. And that is not pure devotional service. So the pure devotees, they do bhakti of Krishna, being freed from all the contaminations of fruitive activities. And what is mental speculation? Not hearing from the acharyas, speculating mentally. Maybe Krishna is this. Maybe Krishna is originally impersonal Brahman, and now Krishna has taken a material form. So there is nothing to speculate about Krishna. By our intelligent speculation, we cannot understand Krishna. We have to just follow the acharyas, the great self-realized souls. And Krishna also says that tadvidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sebaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse number 34, Krishna says that you have to learn the truth about the absolute truth from the tattvadarshi purushas. Jnaninas tattvadarshina. The self-realized acharyas will teach you this truth. You shouldn't speculate. And he who works for me, a pure devotee, whatever activity he is doing it for Krishna. If he is studying for Krishna. Whatever earning, he is supporting the spreading of Lord Chaitanya's message or spreading of Bhagavad Gita, constructing temples. So he works for Krishna, who makes me the supreme goal of his life and who is friendly to every living being. He certainly comes to me. So these are the qualifications to attain Krishna. You need to be a pure devotee. You need to be freed from all the contaminations of karma and jnana, fruitive activities and mental speculation, and offer all your work to Krishna. Make Krishna the supreme goal of your life. Some people take Krishna consciousness as a part of their life, that I will continue my materialistic activities and Krishna is one part. Daily, sometime I will dedicate for Krishna. But for pure devotees, Krishna is their entire life. Whatever they are doing, even in their sleep, their wakefulness, whatever they are doing, always they are Krishna conscious and doing it for Krishna. So their materialistic activities become a part of their life. Actually, they do not have any materialistic activities. Even the materialistic activities of a pure devotee is spiritualized because he is engaging those in Krishna service. So for pure devotees, Krishna consciousness is not a part of their life. It is their life. They are 24/7 Krishna conscious. And who is friendly to every living being. Friendly to every living being means Suhrid, well-wisher of every living being. And how can you be well-wisher of every living being? By giving this message of Bhagavad Gita to them, by connecting them back to Krishna. That is the highest form of welfare activity. So if you do all these things, and all these things are in one word, they are devotional service, then he certainly comes to me. So this is how chapter 11 ends. And in chapter 11 we have seen the description of the universal form. So there is only one chapter remaining in this middle section from 7 to 12, chapter 12. And chapter 12, the name of chapter 12 is devotional service. So more about devotional service will be explained. Then we will complete this section and we will move to the last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, 13 to 18, which is predominantly speaking about Jnana Yoga. So Bhagavad Gita is like a jewel box. Initially Karma Yoga, in the middle the actual substance Bhakti Yoga, and then again at the end Jnana Yoga. So it means that Karma and Jnana, they are supporting Bhakti. If Karma and Jnana is not supporting Bhakti, then it should not be accepted. Okay, thank you all very much for attending this. Any questions? No questions. So we'll continue. Chapter. Oh yeah, Ayush Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Vishwa Rūparāja you want it is told by Lord Krishna and it is never been told by anyone. There is
Hear you clearly, like it's reverberating, echoing, something like that.
am I audible?
Yeah, little better.
So, Prabhuji,
Yeah, now clear.
there is mention of Vishwarupa in Srimad Bhagavatam before creation Lord took that form. So, is it not the same form?
Yeah, it's
because
also the same form is described.
Sorry, Prabhu, for interruption, but there is also mention of that ocean is like a mountain and ocean, these material elements are also discussed and shown in the body of Vishwarupa.
Okay, so you are asking that whether that description and this description are same or not, right?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay, so I think we have discussed this in the 9th chapter, that there are different manifestations of Vishwarup and they are actually same thing. Let me find it. Yeah. So Vishwarup is an imaginary form of the Lord and it is a bona fide imagination. Vishwarup is a temporary form of the Lord Because Vishwarup means the entire cosmic manifestation in a personified form. And this is the imaginary form. And this is temporary because the Vishwarup is there as long as the material world, the material universe is there. When all the material universes go inside Mahavishnu, there is no Vishwarup. So Vishwarup is a temporary form. It's an imaginary form. Why? Because as per the description of Srimad Bhagavatam, as you were telling, ocean and trees, they are compared to different parts of Krishna, the Vishwarup's body. So actually, it's very difficult that sun and moon are considered to be the eyes of the Vishwarup. If you look at sun and moon, you cannot see sun and moon together. Just like in a person, we see both the eyes together. But in the sky, we cannot see sun and moon together. So therefore, it is not actually a form where sun and moon are the eyes of that form. But it's an imaginary form. Sun is an object, moon is an object. Imagine a form with sun and moon as the eyes. So therefore, Vishwarup is or Virat Rup is an imaginary form of the Lord. It is a temporary form. And this imagination can be in many ways. First, one of the ways are like mapping different limbs of the Lord with different planets. Just like here, Satyaloka is considered to be the head, Tapaloka is the breast, Janaloka neck, Maharloka chest, like that. Vitala is thigh, Shutala knees. So different planetary systems are compared to different limbs. Then mapping with the Varnas, Brahmanas are imagined to be the head of the Vishwarup. Kshatriyas are imagined to be the arms, Vaishyas thighs, and Shudras legs. Mapping limbs of the Lord with universal objects like Lord's hair are the trees, breath, nostril, ears, Lord, eyes, sun and moon, like that. That is also one form of imagination. Another form of imagination is the collection of all demigods. And this is the form which Arjuna saw. Arjuna actually saw everything. The entire space time Arjuna saw. So Arjuna also saw sun and moon and like oceans, mountains, trees, everything Arjuna saw. The entire cosmos, Garbhodakashai Vishnu Hiranyagarbha, is also imagined to be this Virat Rup. So Virat Rup is an imaginary form, and the imagination can be in many ways, but actually it is referring to the same form. So the Bhagavatam describes it in a different way, and the Bhagavad Gita describes it in a different way. So they are different forms of imagination, but they are referring to the same form. Is it clear, Prabhu?
Yes, so is it so? This is like imaginary. This is like an imaginary form which a Lord manifests.
Right.
Which become real for that time.
Right. So Arjuna was able to see that form, that imaginary form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we'll continue in the next class. We'll continue 12th chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande. Hari Hari Bol.